Our legal expert, Aaron Parnas, joins me for this segment. You know, I always like to start the week with something positive, something that will make me just a little bit happy so I can launch into the days ahead in a good mood. And I decided a good subject to do that with today is Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is not normally something that will make me happy, but her losing in court. Wonderful. Aaron Parnas, break it down.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. While we're waiting for the Trump immunity decision from the Supreme Court issued another decision that's going to impact Marjorie Taylor Greene's time in Congress. She appealed, if you remember way back when, under Speaker Pelosi, they instituted a mask mandate in the House of Representatives during the height of the COVID pandemic to protect staff and other members. And Marjorie Taylor Greene refused to wear the mask and actually sued the House of Representatives over the mask mandate. The district court denied her attempt to kind of lift the mandate. The circuit court denied her attempt to lift the mandate. And now the Supreme Court has denied her attempt to lift the mandate. Now, this is important for one big reason, is that the mandate actually cost Marjorie Taylor Greene over $100,000 in fines that she already paid to the House of Representatives out of her paycheck. But had this mandate been lifted by the Supreme Court, she likely would have received that money back. But the Supreme Court essentially didn't even consider the merits of the case. No justice agreed with her. I mean, not even Justice Thomas or Justice Alito, some of the most conservative justices on the court, tried to take the case up. So Marjorie Taylor Greene lost big in the front of the Supreme Court.
And based on the case you saw her bring, was there any chance, any shot, or was this just an attempt for her to get attention? Or did she really think that she could win this and have an achievement on that front?
No, there was really no shot here. I mean, even Speaker Mike Johnson, who's very conservative and obviously the Republican leader right now, even his office, his team of attorneys said that there was no shot that the Supreme Court shouldn't take the case. So when you even have far-right Republicans against you, there was really little chance for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the reason why is because lower courts and even the appellate court found that essentially the courts are not the proper jurisdiction to adjudicate a House rule. The House has complete governance over the rules it sets. And it's not up to the courts to decide whether or not the House can impose a rule like that. So it really wasn't surprising. This lawsuit really had no chance. And Marjorie Taylor Greene likely spent another several $100,000 in legal fees trying to sue, all to no avail.
Gosh, what was the point? The weird thing is some of these stunts do get MAGA Republicans a lot of attention, and that sort of serves their interest. But this one, I didn't actually see her getting a whole lot of support rallying around her with this lawsuit. And so to not only lose $100,000+ with fines because of this, to have to invest in the legal expenses surrounding it is very strange. A strange calculation on the part of Marjorie Taylor Greene. When you told me that you had a story about Marjorie Greene and masks, what popped in my head was a clip from years ago now that for some reason I found so funny back when it initially happened. And so it stayed in my mind. And so Marjorie Greene ranting about how kids shouldn't be wearing masks in school. And it's one of the most bizarre clips of her I've seen in a really long time. So let's reflect on this, where she's not only out of breath on the House floor for some reason, I don't know if she jogged there or something, but also keeps saying mask singular instead of masks plural, as is the correct way in the sentences that she's using it. Take a look.
Georgia seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to address the House about how children feel about masks.
Gentlelady will suspend. The gentlelady is seeking unanimous consent to address the House
for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to talk about how children feel about masks. You see, while they're watching television, seeing Super Bowl games where adults are filling stadiums without masks and enjoying themselves, while they see concerts happen, they see people go to work, they see adults going many places all over this country without masks. They are forced to wear masks every single day at school, and it's wrong. Actually, it's child abuse. Now, I know that sounds like strong words, but it really is, because children are not at risk of COVID-19. Children are at the lowest risk. But do you know what's harmful to children? Having their faces covered all day long at school, not being able to see each other's faces, not being able to see their teachers' faces, not being able to learn properly speech, emotions, and having that connection, seeing each other's faces and learning from adults, seeing each other's faces. Now, while Democrats are going on with the mask for thee and not for me, kids have had enough, and they're going to be future voters. And they are sick and tired of being forced to wear masks. It needs to end. Masking children is child abuse.
Aaron, what are your thoughts? Why is she saying that? Well, kids shouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. And Luke, that's maybe why a lot of her fellow members in the House Republican caucus did not even sign on to this attempt to lift these mask mandates in the House. I mean, you only saw Thomas Massie and one other member of Congress, one other Republican member of Congress sign on to this. Even Lauren Boebert did not sign off on this. And when other members of the House Republican caucus were actually fined several $1,000s, they didn't even sign on to this attempt by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's funny, you said earlier it didn't pick up much traction across the internet or really anywhere. And the reason why is because everyone knew this was an effort dead on arrival. I mean, it was so outlandish that Marjorie Taylor Greene thought she could overturn this House rule, and the Supreme Court quickly smacked it down. I mean, there was really no chance from the get-go.
Absolutely. And watching that clip again reminded me of just the crazy moment we were in where truly MAGA Republicans were trying as hard as they could, similar to how they've done on issues relating to our democracy, on public health issues and during a crisis, to just as aggressively as possible try to distract from a reasonable, thoughtful response to that moment. And we're just using everything for political stunts and trying to get Marjorie Greene attention over mask. And then it's interesting to see Republicans today still trying to fight these battles that, let's be honest, they sort of already lost in the court of public opinion of yesterday. Ron DeSantis obsessed over sort of lockdowns and stuff like that, and the pandemic response during his presidential campaign. That didn't go well, obviously. Marjorie Greene still litigating this, and it's not ending the way that she'd like. Not to mention bringing up in a different category January 6th over and over again, as we do, because it was an example of this anti-democratic movement manifesting itself into a violent act. But from their perspective, they keep bringing up these conspiracy theories about January 6th because I think they obsess a little bit over the moments that made their movement look the worst. And it is true that the way they acted during this pandemic was horrible. The way they've acted since the 2020 election, specifically on January 6th, and then all that surrounded that was horrible. And so because somewhere deep down they recognize that, they keep bringing it up, trying to justify those things and fight those battles. Aaron, where can people find you?
On all my social media platforms at Aaron Parnas.